Danny Flexon here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by Unbeaten heavyweight Fabio Wardley. Fabio, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How's you?
I'm good, thank you. Just days away, you, not me, from latest big fight. This one against Danie Martz. What can you tell us about him?
Not too much. Yeah, that would do. Yeah. I've had a brief look over him. He's quite a tall guy, big guy, nicknamed the Mountain. So he's going to come in with some size. He's about 6'7", 6'8", something like that. He's got 20 odd wins. I think maybe 18, 19 of those are coming by knockout. So he's heavy-handed. He has got quite a few losses on his record as well, but they've stopped him. But they've been against high-level opponents. So the thing is with me is to do that in the same fashion and kind of, don't get me wrong, not beating Danie Martz puts you in the same category as them, but it just gives me a little sideways look to be like, oh, okay, he dealt with them in a similar fashion. So that's the plan.
What's the overall plan for this year? Like, how many more fights do you want to get in after Martz if everything goes well on Sunday? And what do you want to have achieved by the end of 2022?
Plan for this year is to be busy. After having the back end of the year off last year, there's a little bit of time I feel like I need to make up. So want to have at least 4 fights this year. I think me starting in February, that puts me on a good stead because I can go every 2 or 3 months, and that works out pretty well. The main objective for this year is obviously to get my hands on the British belt, the British title. So hopefully that can come together. Obviously the most likely name everyone puts with that is me and Nathan Gorman. That's an obvious one. But if it comes off, great with me and him. If not, if it's someone else, then no problem at all as well. It's the hunt for the belt and that next step up, that next milestone for me to tick off of my career.
Yeah, so as you alluded to there, everyone just seems to assume it's going to be you and Nathan Gorman for that Lonsdale belt. Is there anyone else you see in and around the picture that it could be instead?
It's a difficult one. Not immediately. No, everyone puts me and Nathan together because we are the obvious 2 candidates. I guess you could make a voucher for like Cash Ali, something like that potentially, or maybe big question mark Dave Allen, depending on what he's doing with himself, where he's at, if he kind of steps up the level of opponents that he's fighting maybe in the next month or 2. So there's other possible avenues, but for the most part, the one that makes the most sense seems like Nathan.
Is the British title something that shows you where you are in your career, or is it something you kind of dreamed about when you were getting into the sport? What's the motivation for it?
I think it more shows it's the milestone, it's the tick off. It shows me, oh, okay, I've got to, like with the English title, I got to that level, ticked it off. I got through the Simon Villani fight relatively easy. Okay, cool, so I'm past that level. Same with defending it against Nick Webb. Got through that fight relatively easily. So, okay, I'm past this level. The next one is British title. Where am I at with this level? Am I past this level? Can I keep going? Or that's the question mark for me, is to figure that out and keep moving up the ranks.
How much can you tell about your own level and your own progress from sparring, especially when you go in against people that you've been in with in the past?
Yeah, I think that's the bit there, is when you're going with people that you've been in with the past, someone that's here today walking around, Derek Chisora, someone I've spent a lot of time sparring. It's nice to see the increments of me sparring him from before, when I turned over within like a year or so and he was just punching me around the ring, where now the spar's a lot more even. I'm able to get my own and control the spar on my own sense as well. So it's good. It's a good measuring stick. It's very different because on the fight, people are sometimes completely different fighters. And I think Derek is definitely one of those. Once you get him on a fight night, once the crowd's there, he's a very different person. So it's hard to use it as a complete barometer, but a bit of a measuring stick, yeah, it's useful.
Is he the kind of opponent you'd like to be in with by the end of the year? Kind of someone who's, mixed in world class, but maybe lost more than he's won at that level, but still very highly respected?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe not Chisora himself, because I think he's always got his sights set on big money prizes, so he's always looking for the bigger fight. I don't think he's going to fight little old me. But yeah, the same, along a similar line of another step above, like an Eric Molina, someone that's challenged at a high level, maybe gone a few times, lost a few times, but still can give me a bit of a lesson and some different problems to figure out.
And on the subject of sparring, who have you been doing rounds with recently? Because you're always in top class.
As of late, I did a bit of sparring with a Coley right at the beginning of my camp. I did a lot of rounds with Johnny Fisher in the build-up to obviously his fight and my own. And there is Jamie as well, who's down at MTK, who I spar with as well. So I've mixed it around a little bit. I've stayed kind of with the similar people that I'm familiar with. Just because more so coming off injury, I want to make sure I'm sparring with people that don't take liberties. Someone not completely fresh, I don't know how they're going to spar. I don't know what kind of energy they're going to bring to it. So as long as I can spar someone who I'm regular with that I know relatively well, I'm going to look after myself in that sense.
What are the differences, if any, between sparring someone like a Coley and a full-size heavyweight that you probably more regularly spar with?
It's not just even the size of a Coley, it's the level he operates at. He's obviously a world title holder now, so he's got a different aura of confidence about him. He moves around the ring differently, as opposed to sparring someone like Johnny, who's still got that, I'm learning, that kind of new kid on the block kind of feel to it. So the spars just have a different feel to them, and obviously there's the differences between imposing size, and Johnny's a bigger guy, but Lawrence is a lot rangier. But that's why it's useful to spar different guys, because there's little bits of information I can take from each and use in other places.
Now, you're close with Dillian Whyte, of course. It was recently reported that he signed on the dotted line to challenge WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. 23rd of April projected at Wembley Stadium. What do you make of that fight?
Great fight. One of the biggest fights for British boxing, I think, definitely. I think there's been a long time coming, maybe not specifically against Tyson Fury, but just for him to get his shot at the WBC belt, definitely a long time coming. So I'm over the moon to see him finally get there and sign for it, and it all seems like everything's going forward and ahead. So I'm just looking forward to when everything gets fully released and all the date is 1000% set in stone and we know what we're doing.
If you were in Dillian's camp or part of his training team, if you like, what would you be advising him to do? Because Fury seems like a conundrum, someone that, no one else has been able to quite work out yet.
Yeah, he is a puzzle, don't get me wrong. But you've seen moments in his career where he has them slight lapses in concentration, he gets caught, and I'm not in no means am I saying he's chinny at all, but he can go down from a shot. He has been shown to be vulnerable sometimes. So I think that's something he needs to definitely put the work on, put the pressure on. Start to the body. For someone who's big and moves around a lot, it does take a lot of energy. So I think if you put your kind of work in early at the body, it will help you at the back end of the fight and go from there.
So if the very best Dillian Whyte shows up and does all the tactical adjustments we've just talked about, how much of a chance does he have to really pull it off? Because it would be an upset.
Yeah, I think so. But I think he has out of any top-level heavyweight out there at the moment, I think he has the best chance. I think he has the best tools. I think he has the best way to go about it, the best mentality towards the fight. I think he's the best guy for it, so he's the one to do that job.
How do you feel when you see these fights being made? Obviously, Joshua's going to rematch Usyk, we presume, as well. These huge heavyweight fights under those big lights and everything. How much does that get your juices flowing about being at that top main event, elite level, box office level?
Yeah, no, I'm buzzing. That's the aim. That's the goal, is to get there. I want my name to be the top name on the billboard and the top face on the poster. That's where I want to be. So being attached to someone like Dill, who's done it and can kind of guide me through a path to get there, is the best thing.
What's the kind of best piece of advice that he's given you? Not so much about boxing specifically, but more about handling the spotlight.
It's more than about keeping a level head. Just no moment is like he said. Just don't let the moments get to you. They are big moments, but they're not. Like when I was having my first one at the O2, it was like, hey, it's just a fight. You're in a ring. There's a few more lights. There's a few more people, but ultimately you're just having a fight. Same thing. And with every little increment, every little step up, every little kind of extra thing I go into, he's still like, hey, don't take it too heavy on your shoulders. Don't carry it too heavy. It just is what it is. Take it in your stride. I think that's something I'm doing pretty well so far. So yeah, I think that's the best bit he's given to me.
With that in mind, he's obviously going to have to fight Fury on a Queensberry or top rank co-promotion, whatever you want to call it. Your fight for the British title, ultimately, and I've just made the assumption that we talked about earlier, but you probably will be in that fight, could go to purse bids. How do you think you would deal with having to fight on a rival promoter's show?
I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with it. Like I've fought on not big away shows, but I've fought like away from like my hometown, up and down the country. I've fought abroad now. I've fought in Gibraltar. I've done it in. Don't get me wrong, it's with a home team in terms of Matchroom, but it's still a different place, a different set of fans, a different set of build-up. And I think a lot of that people can read into it too much. I think for the most part, all my training, all my build-up is done in my own comfortable environment. So just because I have to spend a week of somewhere different around a different team isn't going to affect me too much. It's not the same as if I miss 10, 12 runs and don't train. It's going to be, I'm going to train all the same and I'm going to come into the fight already. So whether I'm on the home soil, away soil, I don't feel like it would matter too much.
And you were on that Gibraltar show. Have you got one of the commemorative coins?
I haven't actually. Funny you say that, I thought about this like a couple of months ago. I was like, I never actually grabbed one, so I'm going to have to get hold of Dill. I'm sure he's probably stockpiled them at home or something. He's got the lot.
Scrooge McDuck. He filled his bath with them, yeah.
He's not letting anyone have any.
Great stuff. Always a pleasure, mate, and very best of luck Sunday.
Cheers, man. Thank you.